Welcome to Callum's Story Time. Today we'll be talking about Native Americans. First, let's start off with observing some of their habits. Chapter 1, First Contact. He made the first documented contact with the Native Americans and is also known as the founder of America, Christopher Columbus. He was looking for the fastest route to India, unexpectedly landed in what we know today as America in the year 1492. When he landed here on the Santa Maria, he thought he landed in India, but in reality, it was America. When he realized this, he quickly began trades with the natives, who were most part helpful and nice. Despite their friendliness, he eventually recognized their amount of gold and took some of them hostage and led them to the source, which did lead to some violent confrontations. The next major explorer was a Spanish conquistador known as Hernando de Soto. De Soto is known for his travels across the Mississippi in the 1540s. He was the first explorer to cross the major river. His route has been long debated on where he has gone and in what order. The conquistadors to find a route to China. His goal, like many, was to find gold or silver. He also was on a quest to find a faster route to China. He did not make many friends, as he did use natives and extorted their chiefs. Stay there, I got this. Due to his actions, there arose many battles that resulted in about 6,000 native dead. Then, on top of that, he found no gold or silver on his journeys. Eventually, De Soto died of illness, never finishing or finding any riches. Chapter 2, King Philip's War. King Philip's War was the first Native American war. The sides were Native Americans from the land known today as New England, and the other side was the colonists and allied Native Americans of the colonists. Tensions rose between the Pokanoket tribe and the colonists. War broke out. Small raids led to the war in which King Philip was captured and then later on beheaded. A treaty was signed in Casco Bay 2 years later due to the rebel natives. Now let's please take a moment to regard the actual occurrences in film that we had recovered from the actual King Philip's War. That was King Philip's War in a nutshell, people. Chapter 3, 7 Years' War. The 7 Years' War was also known as the French and Indian War. This was fought in the northern theater of the 7 Years' War, when Britain and France declared war upon each other. The British had their forces fighting against France and their allied Native Americans. The French were greatly outnumbered, so they made heavy use of their Indian allies. It began because of a dispute for control of a part of the Ohio River. The war raged on and lasted for about 7 years. As the war raged on from Virginia all the way to Nova Scotia, eventually the French were depleted and the British eventually came to their win. Chapter 4, Trail of Tears. The Trail of Tears was the name given to the forced relocation and movement of Native American nations from southeastern parts of the United States following the Indian Removal Act of 1830. This was the name given to the forced relocation of Native Americans. This mostly consisted of the 5 civilized tribes: the Cherokee, the Muskogee, the Seminole,
the Chickasaw, and the Choctaw. They are herded west by colonists, as they are all starving and injured.
We got him!
Out of the 130 relocated Native Americans that were sent to reservations, 60,000 of the natives died from disease and starvation, and many more died from violent acts due to the colonists. The Native Americans were relocated to present-day Oklahoma in reservations.
Chapter 4, Part 2. Indian Removal Act of 1830. It was signed into law by President Andrew Jackson on May 28, 1830. The act authorized him to negotiate with the Native Americans in the southern United States to the removal of federal territory west of the Mississippi River in exchange for their homelands.
The amazing Andrew Jackson, I repeat, amazing, had a plan to have an agricultural-based society. He planned to renew political and military actions for the removal of natives.
Go. Something's happening! The beast is attacked!
After Jackson's landslide re-election, the tribes laid down and allowed for the law to be enacted. Did we mention Jackson was the best at everything, ever?
Chapter 5, Red Cloud. Red Cloud was a leader and a chief to the Sioux. He led as a chief from 1686 to 1909.
He was one of the most capable leaders of the Native Americans when it came to fighting the U.S. Army. He led a successful campaign from 1866 to 1868, which is known as the Red Cloud War. He ended up dying in 1909 of old age.
Chapter 5, Part 3. Sitting Bull was a holy man who led his people as a tribal chief during the years of resistance to United States government policies.
He led the attack on the Battle of Little Bighorn, defeating Custer's 7th Cavalry. He was later on killed on a reservation when he was being arrested by Indian Agency police.
Chapter 5, Part 2, Custer's Last Stand. Custer's Last Stand was also known as the Battle of Little Bighorn and was an armed engagement between combined forces of Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and A.P.U.S. tribes against the 7th Cavalry Regiment of the United States Army. The battle, which occurred on June 25th and 26th of 1876 near the Little Bighorn River in eastern Montana Territory, was the most prominent action of the Great Sioux War of 1876.
This was an overwhelming victory by the natives. 268 U.S. soldiers died in this severe defeat. Of those deaths included George A. Custer himself, who fought in his last battle. Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse led the two tribes to a vital war that devastated the United States Army. This was just one of the many battles in the Sioux War.
Chapter 6, Dawes Act. Dawes Act was adopted by Congress in 1887, authorized the President of the United States to survey Indian tribal land and to divide it into allotments for individual Indians. Dawes Act was amended in 1891 and again in 1906 by the bureaucrat.
Other than just giving individual Indians plots of land, the Dawes Act was also a way to further Americanize natives.
I'm good. Alright, we're good.
Eventually, the Dawes Act began to work, and the natives did become to be more like the natives you may see sometime today.
It doesn't make sense. No. I had 17. No. Can we make the American win since they won?
Chapter 6, Part 2. Massacre of Wounded Knee. Massacre at Wounded Knee occurred on December 29, 1890, near Wounded Knee Creek on Lakota Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, South Dakota, USA. It was the last battle of the American Indian Wars.
The 7th Cavalry surrounded a small group of Lakota tribe members. While disarming these tribe members, one of them shot out. This escalated as the cavalry opened fire on all the natives, killing around 300 men, women, and children in this massacre. Almost all of the Indians that were killed were indeed unarmed.
Chapter 6, Part 4. Georgia vs. Cherokee Nation.
This was a United States Supreme Court case in which the Cherokee Nation sought a federal injunction against the laws passed by the state of Georgia, depriving them of rights. The Supreme Court did not hear any of the Native American arguments due to their merits.
We have come to a ruling. You guys, you're a dependent nation, so get out of my courtroom.
You can see the arrow. Lay down, you stupid animal. Oh shit! Shit! Oh fuck! He lost it.
Oh, I followed the arrow.
That's right.
Patty cake, baker's man. Rake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it,
I bring you
pat it, put it in the oven for Austin and me.
That was so gay.
Go. Let's go west. Let's go west. Let's go west.